Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about Archenemy? Stick around and find out. That's the first 80s superhero theme of any kind that really popped into my head. Anyway, hi, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of Archenemy. The synopsis on IMDb reads, Max Fist claims to be a hero from another dimension who fell through time and space to Earth, where he has no powers. No one believes his stories except for a local teen named Hamster. I don't know that that last sentence is really accurate. The teen nicknamed Hamster is kind of gets a kick out of this guy's stories, but I don't know that he really believes him. Anyway, this is, to describe this animal, an urban crime drama, I guess, with sci-fi superhero references. It's, in some ways, really seems to be going for kind of like a grounded type of drama, in a sense. It's not full-on drama like, say, Defendor, but in a similar way, it brings to this urban, gritty level the idea of superheroes in the real world, or a person who thinks they're a superhero into the real world. One of the main characters is this teen high school dropout just trying to make his way in the world, and so we're meant to kind of sympathize with his struggle. He's looking to get a job with this pop culture media outlet based on the stories that he gets from interacting with this guy named Max Fist, who is, by all appearances, a homeless alcoholic with schizophrenia. The big question for most of the movie is whether or not Max's memories are real or imagined. There are trippy 80s-inspired visual effects sequences that sort of take us inside his mind, or are they his memories maybe, reliving what he believes are his memories, but definitive answers about what's real and what's not don't come until the end. And I'm not going to spoil, kind of like where they end up landing on is his situation real or not. Movies of this type that are trying to blend that are kind of asking a question of, is what this character is saying is real imagined or not? There are a number of movies like this, and for this type of movie to work for me, it needs to, depending on, what the reveal is at the end, either have a cool concept reveal after clever seeds have been planted, if it's the case where the fantastical thing that's being claimed by this one character do turn out to be real, then I want it to be a really cool concept reveal and really gratifying in that sense, and to see the seeds planted that led up to that reveal, like, oh, I should have realized, yeah, it's all real. Or if they're diluted, then I want a cathartic, dramatic character drama climax that pays off drama and character that's been invested in up to that point. So I'm not going to spoil where this movie lands again, but I will say that the ending and where it lands felt unsupported by where the script focused leading up to that point, with kind of exposition feeling dumped at the end rather than led up to throughout the movie. And so I was really disappointed with kind of how it played out in the end. Not necessarily disappointed with like the choice and where it landed, but just how that all played out. The final note feels out of left field to me. It was an ending that to me felt like, oh, okay, so that happened for some reason. It didn't feel like the payoff of what had been developed prior to that. So, yeah, really the ending, the last maybe even 15 minutes really just kind of fell flat for me. As far as the cast goes, only one recognizable face, and that's Joe, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Joe Manganiello. You might recognize him as briefly playing Deathstroke in kind of like a cameo role in the Justice League movie. He plays Max Fist, and I think he does a solid job, but at times also made choices that felt like actor choices rather than a real person. A lot of this movie, fairly or not, ends up in my mind getting compared to Woody Harrelson's Defendor. And when you have a character that you're like, oh, is this character, do they have some kind of a mental condition or something? We're meant to feel sympathetic. This character who is saying that he's a superhero and stuff, we're meant to feel, I think, sympathetic toward him. and toward his situation, and so that calls for a performance that feels, I guess, more vulnerable than maybe this performance felt to me. Even though, by and large, I would use the word solid to describe it. But when I'm watching a movie like this, I really want more than solid if it's going to lean on the drama. You know, the other actors were all unknown faces to me, but they all did fine. But again, for an indie drama like this, I really prefer it to be cast by unusually strong actors, a bunch of character actors that are really good at what they do. Bring them into this story and bring layers and subtext to what the script already gives them to work with. And it just wasn't that kind of movie. It wasn't cast that way. It wasn't, I don't think, maybe not directed that way. But, you know, there were some shortcomings, I felt like, with the script to begin with. So as far as the stunts and visuals go, the visual effects lean heavily on 80s tropes and these kind of like, not psychedelic, but trippy kind of like 80s visual effects. But the movie isn't a period piece, and it doesn't seem to harken back to the 80s. And so these elements, these visual effects elements, just feel like derivative. There's some music stuff going on too that is pulling kind of from 80s synth type stuff. And it just feels derivative of the 80s trend that's everywhere right now. And it just feels put in there for the sake of like, this is in right now, this is cool right now. It doesn't feel like it serves the material in a particular way. And there are also some key effects that I can tell are supposed to look good, and they just looked plain awkward in an unintended way. So I was disappointed with just kind of like the choices of the visual effects and the quality in some cases of the visual effects as well. As far as themes, is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance going on in the themes of this thing that might trigger some worthwhile thought or conversation? You know, this is just one more area where, like, I looked at the trailer for this movie and I was like, ooh, this could really be this neat hidden gem with some neat things going on in it. And it just wasn't. And I feel like similarly with the themes, there's just missed opportunities. They could have and almost seemed to want to for a moment talk about or deal with the theme of that struggle to rise above the circumstances that you are dealt by life. The desire to be something greater and more noble than you are. You know, I feel like there's great opportunity for theme tied to powerful drama in this kind of movie. But no theme in this movie felt focused on, as the script itself likewise felt lacking in focus and direction when all was said and done. So I just don't think there's really any natural opportunity that I found for reflection in this movie either. Okay, so I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Vader, skip this one. There are many other movies that try to mesh superhero trappings and grounded drama and are much more satisfying to you than this movie will be. If nothing else, you know, you haven't watched Defendor in a long time, so go back and watch Woody Harrelson's Defendor to scratch the itch that you're hoping that this movie will scratch, but actually will not. This one is not rated, but I would describe it as an R equivalent for violence and language. All right, those are my thoughts. Would love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected and get notified when a new video from this channel goes up. Let's see here. Oh, I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. Thank you all so very much. If you can get info about the benefits of becoming an insider over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. And then, as always, I hope to join us soon over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth.